Hi guys, Isabella Greene here. Today I would like to share with you some discoveries and understanding about how the matrix works and how the matrix keeps us in, and what it is that we keep recreating while we're falling blindly, subconsciously, now instinctually to the old paradigm. The old paradigm, when the whole structure of industries and exchange of monies and all of that was created, it required support. And support comes from human beings. The human beings are the ones who provide assets and value for the corporate structure or the structure of the matrix for it to continue functioning. So each human being is viewed as, or started to be viewed as an asset or a number. If you take a look at your social security number, by the way, that is an account, actually. You can research that through the whole strawman account thing, and you will find out that you are registered and viewed as a corporation. You're not a human being in the system. You're a corporation in the system. But if you are following your natural gift, and if you are trying to live outside of the matrix, and if you are connected to your true self, and if you are driven by the feeling of joy and happiness that has nothing to do with material possessions, you're not going to be very effective in the system. So the system figured out a very effective way of control to keep the human beings to their function, which is now being a corporation, a small individual corporation that supports a larger corporation, that supports a larger structure, that supports the whole matrix. So this is where the idea that happiness comes from material possessions came from. That we're supposed to, since we're 3 years old, we're supposed to achieve. We're supposed to be good in school. We're supposed to learn, forget what we know, forget what's natural to us, forget our gifts, forget our abilities, forget our cosmic origin, and follow what the system teaches us, becoming a very well-trained mechanism to support the same system. And as a reward, you receive financial compensation, which is supposed to give you a happy life. How many people do you know that have significant income but are truly miserable? How many people do you know that have very little income, they're really happy? I've actually experienced that when I went to the Caribbean and Dominican Republic and places that are considered to be super poor or third world countries too. And if you go and spend time with the natives that have nothing, there'll be like 4 sticks and a tin roof, and the people are happy. The people are dancing, the people are sharing, the people are open-hearted, the people are kind and warm and friendly, and they know the value of true human connection and love. And their system of belief is really what is natural for the human being versus what we have here in the first world, let's just say, right? The first world problems. That's a funny one. Where we completely forgot what love is. We completely forgot what the value of human connection while we are chasing the next cell phone. We completely forgot, we're starting to forget the value of human life, and we have lost touch with our own self-worth, because our self-worth, since we're kids, is linked to the level of achievement. Be a good girl, do your homework, be good at school, be good at college, learn and study, get the good grades so you can get a great job, so you can have kids and teach them to do the same thing. And they will never see you because you'll be working 24/7 supporting the system. So as soon as the children are old enough, we start molding them to be a part of that same mechanism. And this is where the abandonment trauma for the entire nation comes from. Abandonment trauma because we are trained to confuse love with logistics. Mom has to work. Mom cannot be with you. Mom has to work to make you happy. But that 3-year-old doesn't want to be happy that way, because that's not natural for the human being. That 3-year-old wants to be with his mother, not somewhere in some crazy daycare where they're being trained to achieve. That child wants to have the mother and the father and the parents present instead of material possessions and logistics. Mommy, daddy are going to give you great house and great car and great gadgets and never be around. So the child has no chance of learning about the value of human connection. The child learns very early that if they don't achieve, they don't receive. They're being trained that way. There's that whole system of punishment and reward that is implemented all across the board, everywhere. From school, from childhood, from parents. Parents are doing that, they don't even know they're doing that. And so then we grow up and we complain that there is the generations of gold diggers and people who have no value for human connection, human love, that people who chase a diamond ring instead of a golden heart, instead of a true connection, that people would be sitting on the couch together during the date time and each one of them is playing either a video game or playing with their phone, and that's considered to be a date or the time well spent together. But there's no understanding what connection is anymore. And that all stems from very well-oiled system that is preparing mechanisms, bank accounts, corporations to continue pushing that system forward. So some guy on top in that industry, the medical industry, what's the most popular job? Lawyer, doctor, and what else? Real estate or something, you know? Yeah? The ones that keep pushing the whole well-oiled machine forward to support the system. We're supporting the industries that have no interest in helping human beings. No interest in making the life better, only interest in creating more income and more money for themselves through training the human being and the children through trauma, childhood trauma of abandonment, childhood loss of self-worth. If you're not a good boy, if you don't do your homework, if you don't do what the system says, we're going to punish you. We're going to yell at you. And if you resist hard enough, we're going to medicate you so that you become convenient for the system. The only reason I'm talking about this here is I'm not sure there is a full awareness of how far this is stretched and how far we are invested into the whole system. And if you look at the younger generations mimicking the previous generations and passing it on to the next generation, I'm not going to marry the guy who did not achieve or is not achieving. I want the house, I want the ring, I want the car. Do you care that the guy is not so great, that doesn't care about you, is never home? No, I don't care. I just want all that, right? Have you heard that before? Is that familiar to you? Or is that familiar from the environment? Because the values of human interaction are corrupted to the highest degree. This is why we're able to poison nations, poison people, with foods that are not even foods, with chemicals that are just pure poison. That's all because there's no value for human life unless it is producing revenue, unless it is producing something for the system, unless it's playing the role that it is assigned to play since birth. When you get a birth certificate, you get your social security number. If you research that, that's a registration for a corporate structure. You as a human being do not even exist. So we're here to create a different system. We're here to create the new way of being. We're here to raise our children differently. So we stop pushing forward that same old mechanism that is taking us farther and farther away from being a human being, from knowing the value of our true essence, from knowing the value of our gifts, from knowing that we deserve to be loved just because we're born, just because we exist, not by what we achieved, not how good we are at school, not how good we are at jumping the hoops for the matrix, but just because we are here as an extension of Source, the presence, the divine spark in the human being. That's enough. And when the parents are saying to their children, hey, if you don't achieve, you better remember that you have to achieve, because if you don't, we're not going to love you. In so many words, right? You're not going to get this, you're not going to get that. But the children are translating that internally in a way that, oh my God, I'm not good to be loved. I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough. That creates trauma for the rest of their lives. But let's take the same parents, for example, and say that they have a child who is unable to achieve, right? Who is unable, who is, I don't know, disabled in some way, right? Would they not love that child as much because that child is unable to achieve? Or would they still give that child a good life and the food and the presence? The whole thing about, I will take my love away and you will not get the good life if you don't achieve. Is that really true? Or is that same reward and punishment mechanism that was applied to the parents and the parents' parents, and we're now trying to apply that to the next generation too? And then when that becomes a norm in a child's mind, this is how we're creating a highly dysfunctional society, dysfunctional from the point of view of human interaction. Yeah, we're functional for the matrix, that's great, we're all well-oiled, hard-working machines. Who is happy? Who is content? Who is satisfied with what they have? Because the chase is endless. As soon as you achieve one thing, you have to achieve the next, because that was ingrained in your system as the whole reason for your existence. Is that true? But is that really true? So this whole talk here today is to kind of open some eyes, or maybe give a reminder and bring the focused attention to what is going on all around us, so that we could start becoming more conscious of what we're doing with our kids. Where are we? What are we creating for the future generations? What are we creating as a part of New Earth? Is it possible to do it differently? Is it possible to follow the joy in your achievement? Is it possible to turn your work, turn your gifts into your work, so that you're a happy person all the time? And then when you have your child, keep that child. Open up the space for having a child. Because if you're not able to do that, you're not ready to have the child. Taking the child at the age of 2 or 3 and putting them in daycare so that you can continue working until 8 o'clock at night, showing up for 5 minutes when the kid is already asleep, that creates a very damaged human being. Take responsibility for what you're doing for the future of this planet. I love you guys. Thank you for listening today. This is not a very happy one, but hey, you know, it's how we take it, right? It's the perspective that needs correcting. It's the system that needs our devoted attention. I don't really know how to do it differently, but we are here together, and I'm sure that there is a better way. I love you. Take care. Namaste.